I hope you're doing well. It is officially fall here in Northern California, which is fantastic. We've been dealing with a heat wave for a while. We had triple-digit heat at the start of the school year, so we're teaching students, and it's like 100 degrees outside. Just not the best weather for teaching, but very excited that the nice cool mornings are here and the warm afternoons are here, and I'm so thankful that it's fall. Today I have what I believe is the most beautifully crafted brass instrument that I own. And this one is so big, I really can't even fit it on screen in one go. This is the Kanstul 1180 Bass Herald Trumpet in G. Holy smokes, I am manipulating this, making sure that nothing hits a wall. The Kanstul 1180 Bass Herald Trumpet is a Bass Herald Trumpet pitched in G. It has a bore of 0.515 and a bell diameter of 6 inches. I know it seems like it's probably bigger than 6 inches, but this thing just has an enormous bell throat right there. It's like a funnel. Crazy. But yeah, it's only 6 inches. About a flugelhorn sized bell. In fact, the way that the bell throat looks, it looks very much kind of like the Binge 5 flugelhorn with sort of that funnel shape. This Bass Herald Trumpet features interchangeable lead pipes. Yeah, so this isn't to tune your Bass Herald Trumpet in G. This is actually a replaceable lead pipe here, just in case you wanted a different sort of venturi or a different feel through your Bass Herald Trumpet. You could switch these out. I only have the one, not sure what this is. There's no markings on it. But yeah, not to tune the horn or anything. There's no locking mechanism here. This is just sort of, gives you sort of a different feel while you're playing. This horn also features very well crafted Monel valves. These ones have plastic valve guides, but many of them came with metal valve guides. If you've ever played any bottom sprung Kanstul low brass, then you kind of know what to expect here. Although these kind of have a different sort of style to them than a lot of Kanstul low brass valves that I've seen. Of course, this Herald Trumpet has a removable bell that unscrews right there. It also features these flag mounts right here, just in case you have a flag you want to mount there. And one standard water key right here that does all the work you need to do. Very well placed when you're in a playing position. It's at the lowest point on the horn right here. Of course, this horn has tuning slides for days. You have your main tuning slide on the furthest back point here. You have your first tuning slide right here with some pull nubs right there. Your second tuning slide has a ring on it, like a pull ring, kind of like a tuba or euphonium would have. And your third valve tuning slide is up here right next to the lead pipe right there. And also some amazing compression. And of course, this horn has incredible silver plating. Very thick, well applied silver plating. This horn is like a piece of jewelry. It's amazing looking. Now, I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is probably the nicest or one of the nicest horns that not only I've owned, but have just held. The build quality on this horn is just incredible. It's like a piece of jewelry. It's so mechanically perfect in so many ways. It's kind of crazy. Now, when I say the build quality is amazing, I'm talking about the tolerances on every moving part here is just perfect. Like the valves are so tightly machined in here. There is absolutely no wiggle at all. And the tightness of the valves translates directly to the compression that you have in the slides. The compression is shockingly good. Pulling out just like the third valve slide right here. Wait a few seconds, and you still get a huge pop out the lead pipe here. You don't want to do any of these popping exercises too much, but it's just astounding how tight the tolerances are on this horn, and just how well built every single section of this horn is. It's amazing. Now, this amazing build quality does come with a price. When these were being built, the MSRP was around $8,770. Yeah, that is a lot of money. However, I don't think that that is out of the realm of possibility, just because this horn is just so well built. Every piece of this horn has been handcrafted, hand built, and it feels like it. Now, when I first bought this horn, I brought it to a local repair tech who went through it. He took out some pings that were here in the front lead pipe just from shipping damage. And he told me that this is probably the softest brass that he has ever worked with in his career. Now, that soft yellow brass isn't a bad thing. In fact, many horns that are custom built like this will have sort of a softer alloy, just so the brass can be manipulated into these shapes. Especially when they're being hand built. When you're working with your hands, the brass can be a little softer. That way you can shape it exactly how you want it. Now, I do believe that that soft yellow brass also contributes to the fantastic tone that you get out of this horn. I have played many bass trumpets. I owned a Holton bass trumpet that played pretty well. I own a Getzen bass trumpet that I like. And I also owned a Mount Vernon Strad bass trumpet that I played on Rite of Spring a few times. And no hate to the bass trumpet, but if you've played bass trumpet before, especially in an orchestra setting, you know that the bass trumpet isn't very good. Of course, I'm half kidding there. There are plenty of bass trumpet players out there that sound fantastic at what they do. I'm not one of them, and many trumpet players would rather not play bass trumpet, which is why in a lot of times if you're playing something like Rite of Spring, many times a trombone player will probably play that bass trumpet part just because their chops are more adjusted to that mouthpiece. But otherwise, the bass trumpet has a very direct sound, which is unappealing for a lot of modern music. While a typical bass trumpet may have sort of a very direct sort of laser beam sound to it, almost like a baritone horn in some ways, this one has a very sort of diffuse kind of tone to it. It fills the room, very much sort of like a euphonium would fill up a room instead of, tearing down a wall. This horn, even though it's directional, very directional, obviously, it has a very room-filling sound, a nice smoky tone to it, and I just really, really enjoy how this horn plays. So I went searching for a few years. I found a few people online that owned some of these, but they weren't willing to part with one. I found one owner that had one that said he hasn't touched one in a while, and talked to him for a while. I think we talked for around a year. It took a long time, but we went back and forth on price for a long time, and we finally settled on a very fair price, especially because I'm not looking to flip this guy. I'm looking to hold on to this one for a long time, use it throughout my career just because it's so stinking cool. So, are you looking for a Kanstul Bass Herald Trumpet in G? Well, good luck. They made about 20 to 30 of these. I don't know that for sure, but if I was to close my eyes and just throw a dart at a guess, I would say they made probably 20 to 30 of these. And here's my reasoning. These were all hand built. They weren't on an assembly line of just machines pooping these out. These were hand built. The bells were hand hammered, really, really tight tolerances, and they were sort of custom made for military bands all around the world. Not just in the US, but the best herald trumpet ensembles in the world were ordering these. That being said, when was the last time you heard of a professional herald trumpet ensemble? I'm assuming maybe 20 to 30 of these exist, and I think several of those were probably demo horns that were like the ones I tried out at the NAMM show. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I tried this one at that NAMM show one year, just because so few of them actually made it into production. So, sort of my little buyer's guide here. If you're looking for one, take a look at the pictures. Make sure you take a look at the brass. Make sure you take a look at the integrity of everything. See, I have a ding right here. You really need to look at that, just because this horn has very, very soft brass in its construction. Shipping damage is also a big concern on these horns. In fact, I will admit here, this horn had a lot of shipping damage when I got it. Nothing to the point that couldn't be fixed, But this bell section right here in shipping was tilted down probably that low. So the bell was like, comically low when you put it together. Luckily, again, soft metal, we could just bend that back into shape. No finish was compromised anywhere. But that's something to keep in mind, that if you are shipping one of these, shipping damage is a major concern. So just make sure you're really careful when you buy one of these. And remember, along with damage, these are custom built, handmade horns. There is no spare parts. I know other companies out there do have Kanstul parts. Some companies are making Kanstul aftermarket components, but every single part of this horn was hand built. You're not going to find pieces that go to this horn unless you have something fabricated. So just be careful when it comes to all that stuff. If you're looking at your pictures and you're missing a bottom valve cap, you're not going to find another. So, keep that stuff in mind. Now, if you're looking for one of these, I would highly recommend looking for one that was sold to a U.S. Army Herald Trumpet ensemble, because those, as far as I know, that I've seen through my research online, those horns were sold with Pelican flight cases. Those sort of gray looking flight cases. Those are fantastic. And those were supplied with those horns because those horns were flown all around the world for performances. So I would look for one of those retired horns because that flight case is amazing. My horn came in sort of a repurposed Besson case, and it stinks. It's awful. I wouldn't even trust this case in the back of my car. The horn sort of jiggles all around on the inside of the case. I would definitely recommend getting a case made if yours doesn't come with one of those Pelican flight cases. I'm done talking your ear off about nerdy brass stuff. This has been the Kanstul 1180 Bass Herald Trumpet in G.